we are discussing about multi-agent system. Okay, we are continuing with the multi-agent system. So after we define the initial session state, okay, by default as a Celsius, we are going to heading towards the tool context. So what is the tool context? So here we are going to generate one tool or define one tool called the get weather stateful. So basically in agentic AI, the tool can be defined using some simple Python function, right? Which means it is a tool function. So that according to this context, it is going to look up the mock weather. In general, it is going to look up the mock weather for the given city. So we have already statically defined the weather. And also this tool is going to convert, it is going to read the temperature for the given city, which is available in the session state, which means what the unit preference by the user, based on the unit preference from the user, it is going to display the available state or via the tool context. So via the tool context in the sense the tool is updating according to the user preferences. So what it is going to update, if the user wants it to Fahrenheit, then he can able to provide a particular formula or mathematical rule to calculate for the Fahrenheit. By default, already we have defined with the Celsius. So this displays with the session state, already we have defined. But right now, with the current conversation, if the user preferring to the Fahrenheit, then the model is capable of executing this statement also. Which means what the model is capable of returning the weather with the Fahrenheit also. So it is going to set back the last city. What is the check the stateful? So that is also going to store in this particular state. So it is going to return this result in a structured format where the agent can use to do reply. Right. So for this one, we are just importing from Google ADK tools dot tool context import tool context. So which means the ADK actually going to invoke the tool. It may pass to the tool context instance. So that gives the access to the tool to a session level data. So it requests the metadata data or possibly the other contextual information also. So for this, we are defining the some plain Python function that ADK can register. So this plain Python function that ADK can register as a tool. The signature actually includes like no city name where the user provided the city and also the tool context, which means what ADK provides this for the session state and the context. So it is going to return with the dictionary type. The return type of the function is going to be the dictionary type. That is the structured output with the status and report. Or if it is not giving the output, it is going to generate an error. So status plus error. Whether it success, then status plus report. Whether it fails, then status plus error. So it is easier for the agent to consume programmatically, right? So the next statement is a simple printf statement. Actually, this statement is used to invoke that is going to be like helpful in logs and events, so that no you can see when tool calls happen during some no engine like agentic engine execution. So it is to debug the tool. It helpful in debugging the tool. So I'm just going to create like no instance for this tool context state. Okay, so what the user is preferring, that I'm just going to pass on to it. User preferred temperature unit. Either it can be like no Celsius or Fahrenheit. But by default, it takes like Celsius because we have already defined with the session state memory, right? So in the previous coding, even when the user doesn't provide any temperature, preferred temperature, it will by default it calculates it. So he can able to prefer with the Fahrenheit. And again, this is the debugging message. To showcase to the user, it is useful for confirm the personalization. So what the preferred unit by the user. And so the user wants to pass on the city, right? So it is going to convert into a lowercase to normalize the city name, which means it is going to be passed to the mock weather data, where it is going to search. Because in the mock weather data, we have been given the key value as the small case. That's why we are just standardizing over here. Okay, whatever. Even if you are just entering the value with the extra special spaces, then it will remove the spaces also. So it is to normalize the given input, right? So a normalized city name, and for that particular city, it is going to extract the current mock data. And so this coding is basically, it is like a simple in memory dictionary. So it is going to store in a weather info keyed normalized by the normalized city. And internally, it is going to store the temperature. Internally, it is going to store the temperature as well as it is going to simplify the conversation logic in order to simplify the conversation logic. So this mock DB is great for test and demonstration right now. In production, if you want, you would call a real weather API and handle like no API errors or rate limits or more locations also. So in the real time data, you can make use of like no real APIs also. So next time, what am I doing? I'm just using like no. It checks the whether normalized city exists or not in the statement. If yes, then it is going to extract like no Celsius temperature and the textual condition, and it is going to convert to Fahrenheit if the user prefers, or else no, it is going to use the standard formula. If it is not no, it is going to return with the standard already defined with the Celsius output. So the agent will present the temperature according to the user's preferred unit actually based on this one. So finally, if the execution becomes successful, the report will be generated and the result will also generated with the success and then report for the preferred unit. For example, if it does not exist, and also, no, I'm just writing back to the session state once again, okay, because this is most important no, information, because which city has been accessed, which means records, which means no used by the agent last. So that would be recorded to my session state. So we have already told that session state is the memory to store the current conversation. So that is what we need to store these conversations. So it is the mutable state, which means what we can able to update the session state. So whenever the changes persist in the session, it can be read by the later by the tool calls or agents, whatever it is, right? So basically, this is the two-way state flow, especially. So the tools can read preferences and update the session's metadata. So this is actually, it is updating the session's metadata, enabling the richer for personalizations. Or you can able to have like no follow-up query. So do you want to forecast for Chennai again, which means what, for the same city again. So it will also be asked no, such a no, follow-up conversations. Then finally it is going to return the result if the execution becomes successful, or else, okay, if the handle sorry, if the city does not found, okay, in the given data, if it is cannot be accessed or if it is cannot be found, then the model will return the status as an error, and it is going to represent the error message. So yes, guys. So ultimately in this program, the agent decides to call the tool based on the agent's instructions, whether it detects the weather query, it will call the get weather stateful agent, right? So whether the user wants to display with the preferred unit or not. If the user do not specify the preferred unit, by default, it is going to display the Celsius. And also it is going to save the current city state to the session service in order for the conversation, in order for the future tool calls and all those aspects. So finally, the state persist is going to change us to the tool context persist in the session and are also being available for the later messages also in the same sessions. For that purpose only, we are just going to say store the state in the tool context. So let me execute the coding. As you can see here. So as you can see here, I have successfully executed. I have successfully executed like the state weather get weather tool. So we have successfully defined this tool.